Hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game development. This is your loyal Indie Diarist and host, Anthony L. Wolf, writer, game designer, and senior content manager in social media. And this intro I'm recording at night, so my voice is a little bit more mellow. I hope you guys don't mind. One thing to note is that this episode number 58 with Trinket, I realized at some point halfway through the episode that I was recording on lower volume settings, so I'm so sorry if you feel some volume inconsistencies. I tried to normalize it as much as possible, but there might still be some peaks that just don't feel right. I'm really sorry about it. I will try to not do it again. Before we get into the episode, I want to shout out to my amazing Patreons, Zagini, Fishman and Peleg. You guys are incredible. Your support means so much. It makes a huge difference. If you two listeners want to support the show, my tiers on Patreon start from as little as £1.25 and include access to episodes in advance, bonus content, and a lot more. So please go to patreon.com/theindiediarist or check out the show notes to have a direct link to my Patreon page. But without further ado, let's get into this episode, Indie Diary number 58 with Trinket. Hello everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Indie Diarist podcast, a show on the human stories behind indie game developments, as you have heard from the intro. So this is Anthony L. Wolf, your loyal Indie Diarist and host, and with me today is Trinket, who just reached out. I believe it was you who reached out a few months ago asking to be featured, and of course I said yes because you told me a few things about your game, about your story and such. So I will simply hand it over to you, Trinket. So please tell the listeners a few things about yourself, what you do, where you're based, if you want to, and what you're working on right now.
Hey, how's it going? I'm AwesomeTrinket, I'm 20, I make games about love, grief, and horror, I'm a solo dev stationed in the East Coast, and I'm making a psychological body horror visual novel called Veins Like Tapeworms. It's my 5th real game, and it's actually my first official Steam game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then how's the experience been when it comes to submitting on Steam and such for you?
Do you want the PR-friendly answer or the honest answer?
The honest answer is fine, yeah.
Nightmarish. I've been working on the back end, and it's been hard. I haven't even started on the achievements yet, but getting the demo up was a bit of a hassle.
Yeah, no, I hear it's a little bit of a pain. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Well, you got through that, if anything. Yeah. So now you've got everything up.
Basically.
So yeah, we'll talk more about your game later, of course. But I always like to open these episodes with a little icebreaker, which you will have heard from the question that I sent over. So if you could be any game's character for a day, who would you be and why?
I'm gonna be honest, I play a lot of horror games or stuff with an incredibly bleak world building. I really don't think there's any shows I'd like to fill, but I feel like if I had to pick, like, the least of all my evils, it would be the character of needy streamer overload, OMG Kawaii Angel's the manager, Peachan. And that's only because I'm gunning straight for the normie life ending where she gets enough therapy to quit streaming and get her life back in order, because I don't want to make her have a breakdown. I want her to be happy.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's that works really well for me. So yeah, well, that's exciting. So when I'd always like to start these episodes from the beginning, and that means I'd like to know a little bit more about what you played when you were younger, and well, of course, in your 20s. I mean, I suppose. Yeah, have you been playing all your life? Have you approached gaming just recently? Because to some people that happens. How was it? What were your first memories related to video games like?
Oh boy, okay, so my dad has, like, a lot of PlayStation 1 games, right? And when I was, like, shoot, I don't know, 5, 6, it was, like, single digits, right around when you gain your consciousness in a Walmart parking lot. Anyway, I was 5, and I don't know why, but I got absolutely hooked on this one game. I played it for what felt like months. This game didn't really influence what I got into as an adult, but it was the first game I remember playing. It was this platformer called Eggs of Steel. You play as a sentient egg going through his factory on his night shift and trying to correct his giant screw-up. When I was like 16, I remembered it out of nowhere, because I always thought it was this super popular title on the PS1, but I never really looked into it, you know? So I did a bit of digging. Yeah. I did a bit of digging for a few hours, but not only is it like super obscure, but Atlas and Enix have their names on it. I'm not kidding. Eggs of Steel was published in Japan by Enix and in the US by Atlas, like the Persona people Atlas.
Wow, okay. Right, yeah, well, I mean, never heard of that game. I will have to look into it because it sounds like a very fun one. So, yeah.
It's a mixed bag as an adult, yeah.
Wow, okay. Well, there's definitely going to be an experience as an adult, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so you said that those games don't have an influence of what you're making now, because of course you're working visual novels and such. So, well, that makes me curious then in that case. What brought you to actually wanting to make visual novels? Is it just a genre that you enjoy a lot, or just something that you feel like is something that you can do?
Oh, I know exactly what happened, but you need to promise me you're not gonna laugh or judge.
Oh no, no judgment here. So yeah.
Okay, I have like two real aha moments, and they both go hand in hand for where I am now. So for my first one, it was like mid-2021 at this point. I was 16 at the time. I just started my first semester at an online college because I got to skip a few grades and graduate early. Pandemic was finally getting to my head and all that. So at the time, I was like neck deep in an obsession for a gacha game, Epic 7. Now mind you, I don't play E7 anymore. I've just gotten too busy with all my VNs to really commit to it. Though at the time, it was pretty much my only hobby. So something I really liked about Epic 7 was this brand new character that just released, Inferno Kawazu. You don't need to know all the details about him to understand the story, but basically I was obsessed for him. There was this moment where I just had this realization. While I'm writing a your name self-insert fanfic for dating him, I could turn this into a dating sim. I could make this a playable experience. And just, I did. I did just that. I went on Google and downloaded a free trial of RPG Maker MV. Engine was still fresh in my head because one of the YouTubers I watch had just played a game made in it. So I got to work right then and there after I got the okay from the E7 devs to use their assets as long as it wasn't monetized. And that very first iteration, that dating sim, was just the first playable day. It was like 12,000 words long, and I had a really clean, if not rudimentary, implementation of a stat rating mechanic.
Okay.
Right,
okay, well, I mean...
Oh, you first.
Oh, no, you go, yeah.
Oh, it was just the second half of my story where I was like, I bought a drawing tablet while I was like neck deep in this dating sim, and I realized, hey, wait a second, I could make a full original story off of this. I really like doing this. I could use this engine to make stories about my OCs, because before I started game making, I was just a full-on fiction writer.
So, but basically, you entered RPG Maker, started playing around, started doing like a sort of a dating sim based on the stuff that you were writing, and then it's kind of clicked. That's perfect. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. It's a spiral. Yeah. And like you mentioned you were doing like an online course. I don't think I got if you said it what the online course was about, but was it related to game development in any way?
Oh no, not at all. It's paralegal stuff.
All right. Oh, okay. Well, then it's just like completely separate thing. That's nice. Yeah. Well, that's great. So, are you thinking you will be turning this kind of, well, I would say, hobby that you developed on the side compared to your educational studies into your full-time occupation if it goes well, or are you just experimenting for now?
My heart says yes, but my head knows that every time you turn your hobby into a job, it's just not a hobby anymore. So it's like, I don't want to rely on my games as like my main moneymaker, because I like doing it. As much as I gripe and whine about all the bug testing, I do really like it.
Yeah, it's a nice process, isn't it? So yeah, well, so far, since you mentioned that, this kind of process started in 2020, is there like a specific particular development challenge that has left a mark on you from your work on the game, and any big learnings that you want to share with other developers?
Scope creep. Oh my god, I'm a victim of scope creep in like 6 different ways to Sunday. Did you know Veins Like Tapeworms was going to be a 15,000 word Kinect novel with 1 ending? Did you know it was going to be a 30,000 word visual novel with 3 endings? Did you know it was going to be a 50,000 word visual ending with 5 endings and no flowchart? Did you know I wasn't even planning to put it on Steam?
Oh my god. Is it still expanding? Like, is it gonna get to
Yes.
100,000 words? Okay.
Dude, it's like 75,000 words, and I'm planning on
Oh my
adding like
God.
5,000 more in this second round of beta testing.
That's not even a visual novel anymore at that point. It's just a novel.
Yeah.
Period. Okay, well, mine it sits at around 100,000 words. Well, still
Wow,
first
that's
draft, but,
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dystopian novel, so it's bound to be a little bit hefty. But,
Yeah, I get that.
Still a little bit hefty, but yeah.
Yeah. My biggest learning is just do not fall into scope creep. I am so serious. I love this game. I'm so proud of its final project, but my whole life has been consumed by I can't wait to get it released and relax.
Yeah. Well, I just released on itch with a small team of another 3 people, like a little game for a game jam. It was the Screen Zone Jam. So the Screen Jam 2024, and the theme was loose, like there was no theme. So we did something around Lovecraft and ancient powers and all that stuff because we like that kind of new weird, and also the kind of Lovecraftian mythos.
Yeah, I love that kind of weird too.
Yeah, but like the original idea was quite ambitious, but then we realized that we kept wanting to add new things and such, and then at some point we had to say, okay, stop. The deadline is like 3 days away. Realistically, what can we achieve? And we kind of tried to refocus and do stuff. But in the end, actually, we the whole team kind of pushed forward a little bit, but we managed to get the game over the line in a decent state. With text and such, and all the main features that I wanted to implement. All the extras, of course, didn't make it. But, scope creep is a big issue. And you have to make sure that every single thing aligns with the original vision. And also, if you feel like you're straying off the beaten path, then please bring yourself back into it, because you're going to be grateful to yourself, like, probably 2 years down the line.
God, yeah. Sometimes you just gotta kill your darlings.
Yeah. That's that very dear writing advice that I say all the time. But yeah, so I guess we're getting closer to the present now. But I'm curious. So you mentioned that, of course, a lot of the games that you were playing as a child or much younger don't really influence what you're doing now. Where do you think your love for horror stories comes from?
Is it weird to say that my love for horror worked backwards from the original experience?
Okay.
Like most people go, wow, I really love horror stories and movies. I should make my own horror game, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was kind of the reverse for me. Before I worked on my original visual novel, Desperation Reincarnation, I kind of hated horror. I had a bad experience with a horror video on YouTube as a kid. Basically one of those test your vision 100% true videos that get you like super close to the screen and then hit you with a jump scare when you're least
expected. And then hit you with, okay, I get it,
yeah.
Was it maybe the video of the car going the hills? Because that was a trauma for me as a child.
Yeah, no, it actually wasn't that one, but I know that's popular. But to this day, I get tetchy just around the prospect of jump scares. Can't play Five Nights at Freddy's or even watch gameplay videos of it because the jumps just ruin me. That's why
that's why I don't like jump scares. In horror, I like tension and psychological horror more than jump scares. Jump scares just unnerve me. Like, for example, I always say that over Outlast, I prefer Amnesia. Over Five Nights at Freddy's, I prefer Amnesia and Alien Isolation, because they do have some jump scares, of course. Yeah. But they play a lot more on the atmospheric, the psychological, the tension. Like, Frictional Games is really good at that, and I wish they did a new IP, because their Penumbra series, like the first Penumbra Overture, which was one of the first games, I played it, and it was just incredible. Absolutely amazing. And it's all atmospheric. Like, I don't think you really get jump scares there. You just get chased a lot by even just rabid dogs, and that, because you can't really fight back, you can only distract them and then move away, much like in Amnesia. That builds the tension a lot. Like, you have no way, you're too vulnerable, so you just have to run. That works really well with me, and maybe that's why I don't like jump scares, because I was also traumatized by one of those videos as a kid, and that was by my uncle's hand. So he decided one day to just show me that video, and that still haunts
I stumbled entirely on myself. That's why all my VNs are just slow burn psychological horrors.
There you go. Yeah, well, there must be a connection between those videos and people hating or loving jump scares at some point. But yeah. So yeah, well, I relate with this point because this point that I have next in my outline, because I just completed one game jam after completing another, because in September I did another little game. So
Oh,
I know that
nice.
Veins. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna take a break from game jams until the new
Yeah,
year, but
please.
we'll see.
Please do. It's a little nightmarish.
Yeah, it is a little nightmarish, but I know Veins Like Tapeworms came straight out on a game jam. So, want to tell me more about that experience and why was it nightmarish?
Okay, you know that little voice in your head that says, "Ooh, Trinket, you can do a 40,000 word visual novel with 100 illustrations in a month for a game jam. You'll be fine." You know that voice? That's actually your hubris talking, and you really
Yeah.
shouldn't listen to it. I didn't know.
Well, you learned something from that experience, I
Yep.
suppose. But yeah,
Yep.
but did you manage to get all of those 40,000 words into the visual novel in the end in a
No,
month?
I just got like a 12,000 word 2 chapter demo out in time. Now,
That's
yeah,
totally fine. Yeah.
this
You know,
was.
that's
Oh, you.
no,
You
no, no,
go.
no. You go.
I was just gonna say, this was before I got ideas to expand on VLT and make it a Steam game. This was before I knew that the final script would be 65, 70. Hell, it's probably gonna be 80,000 words. And before I started beating RPG Maker with a hammer code, a clickable flowchart.
If anything, you put something out. You can look at the
Mm-hmm.
bright side there, but then it's expanding. So I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And well, this is just out of curiosity. It's not in the original
Mm.
question that I had in mind, but it just popped up. Like, have you seen much interest for Veins Like Tapeworms? Because I find it personally interesting, like a lot.
Mm.
So yeah,
I think it's more on like the niche side when it comes to horror games,
course.
but
But you know,
the people that I managed to rope into it, they end up being super fans more than anything. Actually, it's
right?
surprising. It's
Yeah,
like
that's good.
I'm not gonna have all the outreach of like Hello Neighbor, Bendy, and the Ink Machine, but
Of
the people
course
I
not.
rope
But
into it, they're hooked. They're like actually hooked. People love the concept.
that's nice. Yeah, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, well, and then this is a bit more related to this question because I read a comment. I think it was on your itch page, like
It
on the
was.
actual page, not necessarily, but it said, "I've been on the edge of my seat waiting for Trinket's new VN because their last one was a bomb." How do such comments make you feel? And well, first of all, let's tackle that part of the
Yeah.
question. But yeah,
Well, buddy, I get giddy. I know, like, the good mentality to have about making stuff like this is to just make it for yourself and screw the public opinion, but seeing proof that I'm, like, actually making something good, not just waffling about for 8 months straight is, like, a shot of motivation right in my brain, you know? Like, not to point fingers or mock someone, but I can't help but sympathize for all those people who have, like, those so bad it's good novels that people love to laugh at. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's bad. The author, more often than not, is relentless in calling critics trolls and unfounded maniacs. But he
yeah, of
was
course.
working on it for like 10 years. I can't imagine being in his shoes, so getting genuine praise just relieves me. Like, oh my god, it's actually good.
Yeah, no, I suppose that's fine, but that's fine. That's great because
Yeah.
I can see it with my game jam games as well. Like the moment the comments started rolling in, I was like, oh my god, what are they gonna say? What are they gonna say? But they were all positive. There were some constructive criticism, of course, but that's nice.
Yeah, constructive
On
criticism is
on
great.
Itch, easy to on Itch it's I feel I don't know if it's widespread, but it's been 2 game jams and I've seen it twice, but it seems like on Itch it's easy to find people who actually put in the effort to leave you a meaningful and thoughtful comment and give you some constructive criticism rather than say, oh, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
But I had one person who said that, and I was like, yeah, maybe it's not worth even replying to this guy. But all the others, like, they were just, okay, yeah, no, I like this, I like the vibe. This mechanic I didn't quite get and such, and I'm like, they're trying to tell them, oh yeah, no, that's valid, that's a valid feedback. Just for your own reference, this is what the mechanic, this is how the mechanic works.
Yeah.
I know now that it wasn't explained properly, and I will learn from this basically. But it's nice to have those nice conversations, and it's great when your game is out and you're actually getting reviews, and you're getting people to actually, you know, that people are enjoying your game. And that's something that a lot of guests tell me is what pushes them forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, but do you, on the flip side of that, do you ever have to deal with less than favorable interactions, I would say?
I've dealt with some unsavory comments on my previous works, actually. An older game of mine got, like, a 1-star rating with the review of it being generic and boring, which, like, okay, yeah, I see what you're getting at, but also, hello? Now, I haven't really had anyone ragging on Veins Like Tapeworms before. I did get someone saying once that they weren't a big fan of the pacing and the UI could be enlarged a bit, but that's about all I can think of. Because the truth is, I'm my own biggest critic. I have ended up scrapping, re-editing, and vastly expanding on the game's 6th chapter at least 4 times by now. Because it wasn't perfect, you know? Like, this chapter ended up being absolutely integral to being who Demian is as a character. They're dynamic with people, and so on. People didn't have a chance to pick at because I was already doing a tenfold to myself.
Well, but even that comment that you said you received it seemed to be constructive in a way. So like, UI could be a little bit bigger, pacing. I don't think it works as well as it could. So at least it's not like, I hate it. Because that would have been like, yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me of a comment I got about it in like another section where someone was like, I'm not a fan of all the third person perspective. Maybe you can switch it to first person at some points. And I'm like, it's a visual novel. I'm very open about this being a third person VN. I don't think that's gonna work, but okay.
Also, it would take a huge amount of refactoring to make that thing work.
It would.
So maybe no, don't switch major game mechanics based on one comment. If that's something you can take away from this chat here. So well, I guess I'm not sure when the release date for Veins Like Tapeworms is planned, but
February
at this
14th,
point,
2025.
February 14th. Okay, perfect. Well, that means you're very close to the end, to the finish line. And at this point, I guess this is a question better answered after you release the game, but let's try it anyway. If you could go back, is there anything that you would change about the development of your game?
I don't think I will change anything per se, but I'd probably tell myself 2 things to tamp my expectations. You ain't finishing VLT in that game jam, just worry about the first chapters, make it as pretty and cool as you physically can. We're gonna be putting this on Steam, and go read Slay the Princess right now. Go, you already bought the damn game, just read it, it's gonna rewire your brain.
Yeah, I heard that I should. That's a really good resource. I should probably read it as well.
Oh, it's such a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. I should definitely give it a try.
You should.
Right. Yeah. No, that's solid advice anyway. Yeah. Just keep it small and then maybe expand it later. So that would be great. But now I guess we are at the point, we are really deep into the present, and this is the question that I love asking everybody on the show, because it always brings up the heart of what the Indie Diaries is about. So I want to ask you, Trinket, why are you a game developer? What is it that drives you forward?
I think I'm filled with a swarm of angry bees where if I don't tell my stories, the bees get angrier and buzz louder.
I like that. That's the first time anyone has ever put it that way.
In all seriousness, I like telling stories, man. I mentioned I was a regular fiction writer before I jumped into the game dev world, and I bought a drawing tablet back when I was just doing a funny little dating sim. I think one way or another, I'd still be finding a way to get my stories out into the world. Like, even if I wasn't a dev, I think I'd be like a novelist or a webcomic creator or something. Just that being a game dev feels right to me. And I think what drives me forward is my urge to constantly create and share stuff. Like, I want to share stories. I want to use the vessel of an ancient flower tie-in to portray the cycle of abuse and childhood wounds festering in something rotten. I want to use a bloodthirsty shapeshifter to show how time can erode even the strongest of childhood friendships. And I want to use a magical girl live streamer to show that being an e-celeb isn't all it's cracked up to be. It's exhausting and isolating and can worsen your insecurities. There's always a story to tell for me, and sometimes the points they share are things that the media I've seen has never touched upon.
That's a really good motivation, and as a writer, I relate with every single word you said. Like the urge to share stories, the urge to send a message, to say something, and to shine a spotlight on the most pressing issues of today. Like that's why I wrote a dystopian novel in the first place. Like if I wanted to show what will happen if we keep heading in a certain direction, or if certain things get out of hand. So it's that urge to create something that other people will experience and that may change their vision or the way they see certain things in the world, or maybe even leave them with some sort of feeling that will make you feel like, okay, I have done something. I have made a
Yeah.
difference, and that is really, really powerful. So
Yeah.
I relate with you.
And sometimes I just want to show a funny little guy who's actually a horrible person and it's everyone else's fault, including themselves.
Love it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The good old trick of the unreliable narrator. I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. And well, if we have to flip that question on its head, I suppose, what drives you backwards? Like, what is your biggest struggle as an indie developer?
Did you know being a solo dev who's doing all the art, writing, programming is really hard, actually?
Yeah, I've heard that a few times.
Yeah. I think my biggest struggle is just the fact that I've got, like, everything on my plate, and if I take a break, my release date creeps close with no progress. Like, I love being a solo dev, genuinely. There's a sense of achievement that I get in seeing my game put together that's just exemplified, because I made all that. I wrote the prose, I drew the art, I cobbled it together. But that said, it's exhausting.
All yours, it's your baby.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Like, holy hell, I have to do the art, writing, programming, marketing, reaching out to people for beta testing, finagling with Steam on the back, and I'm doing the work of like 7 people in one. And what drives me back was just, I can't justify giving myself a break. My friends are telling me I'm overworking myself to hell and back, and I just can't justify taking that break. I told them I'm on break while I'm waiting for my beta testers to give me feedback, but I'm secretly working on some art right now. Now, this episode isn't going up for a while after recording, so they won't know till a month or so has passed, so hi guys, sorry, I'm working again.
Yeah, this episode should be live on the 25th of November, exactly, so unfortunately they will have this nice surprise.
Sorry guys, I swear I got a nice break when the pristine cut of Slay the Princess dropped.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get the struggle, and also the fact that, I mean, if you're doing 7 jobs into the brain or time of one person, you will start to feel the pressure, and very, very soon, especially if, I don't know if that's your case yet or already, but especially if you also have another job on top of it, like if you have even a part-time job doing this stuff, takes away a lot of your time.
It's like an on and off side hustle, but like I try to get them both done at the same time because it's a work from home kind of thing.
Now there you go. So that helps, but yeah, it can get to you really quickly. So yeah, please maybe do follow your friend's advice and take a little more care of yourself, because the game is going to happen anyway.
I will once I get caught up on where I want the progress to be. I swear I should be more ahead in progress than I am right now in late October.
Yeah, no, of course. I get that totally. Well, I guess at that point, I can ask you, and I think this was in the original list of questions that I sent you, you know, related to that. Do you ever feel lonely or discouraged, overwhelmed even by all of this weight? And how do you cope with that? To me,
no, I want to hear yours first.
I will tell you what. Yeah, I will tell you what I think. I think having a goal and setting different goals for you and seeing the results helps you out a lot.
Yeah,
like that's the kind of motivation that you have. But I want to hear yours too now.
Oh, my coping mechanism is easy. I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
okay. Serious answer. Yeah, it gets lonely sometimes. You know, I'm basically running this whole show. You know that. If I'm not working on this game, I'm thinking about how to portray another nuance in Demian's relation with an ex-lover without shouting in your face they both hurt each other equally. If I'm not tweaking up the script, I'm drafting up more posts for my social media. If I'm not doing that, I'm writing down more ideas for CGs, list goes on. And it gets discouraging because I'm looking at all the stuff I'm doing versus the success a small team has, and I think, man, I'd probably be done by now if I just teamed up with a group. But I think my main coping mechanism is just looking at all the stuff I managed to do entirely by myself and going, wow, I'm a solo dev and this is all mine. Because in the end, I do like my finished projects, and I like the fact I managed to do 99% of the work entirely with my own 2 hands. And seeing how much I get done entirely by myself, that honestly drives me forward when I'm feeling really awful.
I think I think you might also get motivation from completing all those tasks one by one, and then looking back and seeing, that's what I did. That's exactly what you mentioned. But even the feeling of completing of getting something done, that is what personally pushes me forward. But it sounds like might be similar in that respect.
Yeah, like when you finally untangle all like the plot holes in a big chapter, and it's like, wow, it's finally good now. Yeah,
exactly, and it feels as it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfectly balanced.
As all things should be.
As all things should be, yeah.
So true.
Right, well then, Trinket, I mean, this has been a pretty short but very, very intense episode. We're near the end now.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it went by so quickly.
Yeah.
I have a couple more questions for you that will hopefully be fun to wrap things up. The first one is a little bit deeper. Imagine writing a letter to yourself or a note to yourself, but maybe the person that was starting, just in uni, not just in uni, but maybe the person that was starting their online course in 2020 or was just wrapping it up or was ahead of the course and such. What would you say?
Hey, Stinky, put down the manuscript and go take a shower. Also, do you like the dating sim you've been working on to kill time? You could blend the best of both worlds with this kind of thing. Yeah, just pick up that $30 drawing tablet you have on your Amazon wishlist, download MetaBang, and you may be surprised by what you make. But have fun while you can.
Great. Okay. Yeah. No. That's a very lovely and energetic note. I love it.
Thank you.
Also encouraging too. So
Thank
that's an empowering in a way. So that's lovely. And lastly, well, I think I know the answer to this, but let's see. If you had unlimited budget and time, what game would you make?
I think there'd be like 4 games I make. Now, granted, I'm gonna do them all in real life still, not just in this hypothetical. Okay. But the budget and time will be super nice. Anyway, my 4 games with God mode on will be 1. Demonic Insignia, part Ace Attorney, part Constantine, part X-Files. 7-chapter mystery visual novel about a vampire private investigator exorcising demons in a casino city. Heavy themes about how a corrupt government that wants to line its pockets will only cause the inevitable downfall of what it governs. 2. Who says a magical girl can't be a live streamer? Visual novel, RPG hybrid. Fast-paced story that, by all means, should be some sort of a dark thriller, maybe even a full-on horror. But the protagonist that you play as ends up brute-forcing into an action comedy magical girl shoujo straight out of the 90s, staying next to classics like Sailor Moon. 3. Junkyard God, kind of a prequel to the magical girl game. Ruthless dungeon crawler that gives you a ground's eye view of the real horrors in the magical girl game and also tackles themes about the sense of self and how much you can spin yourself from something else till you're just a mockery of the original. And 4, Daydreamer. Now see, this is a game I would love to make. It's a full-blown RPG with a story I've been cooking in my head on and off for the past 5-6 years now. I've actually got a story already out in that same world, but this one is about love, grief, and Chinese vampires. And with my leftover
Chinese vampires.
Yeah, the Jiangxi. They're a weird little fixation of mine. I love them so much.
Nice. Really good.
With my leftover unlimited budget, I think I'd go back and hire a composer, make an original soundtrack for VLT.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, that's a very, very well thought out plan. I love it. And that's and do I sense maybe a little bit of a Trinket gamified universe there? Or something
all one of my games are all connected in a shared universe. Some of them aren't sequels, but they all take place in the same little Earth.
That's great. Yeah. So that would make a hell of a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Right. Well then, Trinket, it's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been a lovely episode together. Just loved hearing about your progress on Veins Like Tapeworms, and I'm really curious to see when it comes out. I don't really play a lot of visual novels, but maybe yours I will.
It's like a very niche medium.
Yeah, I know, but it's just, to me, they take a lot of focus, and sometimes I at the end of the day, like of a work day or such, I just struggle to stay there and read a lot of text.
Yeah, I get that.
Although I'm a writer, so I mean, I should be okay with that. But
ironically, reading visual novels is how I like to decompress.
That's one way. Well, sometimes I do decompress by reading before bed, but at the same time, I mean, it really depends. But I guess it's time for some parting words now. Where can other people find you and your game? And if they do, what is the best way to support you?
Oh, I'm all over the internet. I'm on Twitter as Trinket_games, and then I'm on Tumblr, Blue Sky, itch.io, Steam, and Newgrounds as AwesomeTrinket. Now, if you want to support me, please wishlist Veins Like Tapeworms and play the demo. Getting it on your wishlist means you'll be one of the first people to know when the full game drops. This game is just, it's my baby, man. It's become something so much bigger and grander than I could have possibly expected it to be, and now I'm just full speed ahead on getting it out to the world. It's an incredibly personal story way of me in ways I can't even describe.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that's very, very heartfelt, very, very powerful, and I hope that people do get a chance. Well, not get a chance, but they do check out your game, because I think that if you're into visual novels, that is definitely one to watch. And also, if you're into horrors and you like reading and all of that, visual novels have a lot more, a lot wider appeal than just people who love visual novels necessarily. I think.
Yeah.
Because depending on how they're made, I have played some visual novels that were incredibly unique. So yeah, there you have it. Well, that brings me, that reminds me of, well, Doki Doki Literature Club, but also Valhalla, the bartender simulator or something. That was pretty cool.
Gosh, yeah, that
which
was
wasn't
so good.
necessarily a visual novel, but it was close, I guess.
It's close enough. I'd call it one.
Yeah, there you go, close enough. Right, well then, thank you so much, Trinket. I will put, of course, all of these links in the description of the episode so people can check you out. And yeah, best of luck with Veins Like Tapeworms. And yeah, just I hope that it goes out exactly as you want it to be released.
Thank you.
That your perfectionism doesn't take over too much. Because yeah,
I've
you could
been
be there
trying
forever.
to fight it, I swear. I just want it out.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on another episode of the Indie Diaries podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to Trinket for being such an amazing and lovely guest. I loved having you on the show. I wish you the best of luck with Veins Like Tapeworms, which, the release date is not that far into the future. So yeah, you're very close to the finish line, and you deserve it so much. There's a lot of passion that came through your words in this episode, and I wish you really all the best. Now, listeners, if you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe to the show. Please check out all the links in the description so that you can support Trinket and just wishlist a game, or maybe even try the other games that they made. And yeah, I mean, that's the single most important way in which you can support every single guest that comes onto the show. The ways in which you can support me and the show itself are various, and you can go to theindiediaries.com to find all the various links to support me, including Patreon and Coffee, but also even just a follow on social media will do. Joining the Discord server where we play games and we just discuss a lot of coding problems and bugs pretty much on a daily basis. That would help a lot. Other than that, please leave a rating for the show if you haven't already. 5 stars, that always helps. And if you want direct links to all of this, of course, you can check out the show notes. That's where you'll find everything. Lastly, if you're an indie game developer yourself, please get in touch, because I have slots for 2025 and I would love to tell your story to the world. Until next time, for episode 59, the penultimate of the year.